Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1998 Represent. On this episode, we're taking a look at The Truman Show with Jim Carrey. This is actually my first time watching this movie. I was very aware of the concept of the movie, and like a lot of the kind of plot points before watching it. I watched it on Paramount Plus like a couple days ago. Um, but I think the first time I remember hearing about this movie was probably seeing the trailer, and I think the trailer, when I saw it, I think it was attached to like Titanic or something like that. But a really interesting concept. The thing was very original, I think. One of Jim Carrey's first more kind of serious roles. But the whole concept of the movie is Jim Carrey plays a character named Truman, and Truman is on a reality TV show called The Truman Show. Everybody in the show, aside from him, knows that it's a show. Everybody on the show is basically like an actor or an extra, something like that. And he is the only one on the show that is actually like a real person, essentially. So the show basically just follows his life. I think like even in the movie they said it's been going on for like 30 years, and it's basically like a 24/7 just video feed of his life. So everybody in the show is like an actor aside from him. So he's kind of the only like real aspect of the show. I think the concept of the movie was this incredibly original, very good. It was also, like I said, one of Jim Carrey's first more serious roles. I think he took it so he wouldn't be kind of just typecast as a comedic actor. There are some comedic elements in the movie, but it's definitely like very toned down compared to his other like previous movies, which were mostly all comedies. Like I first saw him in Ace Ventura, like the first two Ace Venturas, The Mask, Batman Forever, Liar Liar, movies like that, which definitely showcased his comedic acting. But this one kind of was the first one that showcased some of his dramatic acting, which led on to other, like more serious roles like, Man of the Moon, Eternal Sunshine, and so on. So, kind of basically like his career, he wanted to get away from just being like a comedic actor, and this allowed him to do both some comedy as well as getting into those more dramatic roles. We have some quick notes here about the movie. So it was first released on June 5th, 1998. Like I said, one of his first more kind of serious roles. He's very good in this movie. Like it definitely touches on a lot of like themes of like existentialism and like reality TV. It's almost prophetic in the way that it kind of predicted what reality TV like kind of like became. I think reality TV was still a thing when this came out. I remember like Real World and Road Rules shows like that were still on, but like the aspect of reality TV like Survivor and like Real Housewives and all that stuff hadn't happened yet. So it kind of was interesting in how it kind of predicted that like changing TV landscape, so to speak. Apparently, Dennis Hopper was originally cast to play the character of Kristoff, which ended up going to Ed Harris, I think. Dennis Hopper took the role, and there was some kind of like clause in the contract that people would have to like, all the producers would have to agree to him be on it or something, and then they didn't agree, so it ended up going to Ed Harris. It would have been interesting to see what Dennis Hopper could have brought to the role. But I think Ed Harris is basically perfect in the role as Kristoff. He's not in the movie as much as you would think based on just the casting. Like you see him in like a few small scenes, and then his role becomes much more prominent toward the like later like third of the film. And Ed Harris was also nominated for an Academy Award after this movie came out in the following Academy Award season. So the 1999 Academy Awards, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for that role. He didn't win. I think it went to like James Coburn instead. I actually have it pulled up right here. Let's take a look at it. I think it was James Coburn, but I could be mistaken. Yeah, Best Actor. Yeah, James Coburn won for Affliction, and Ed Harris was nominated for The Truman Show. So definitely a very good role for Ed Harris. I really like Ed Harris in a lot of stuff. Like he's really good in like The Abyss and The Rock, movies like that. And he's obviously great here as well. I'm probably gonna mispronounce this name. She also appeared in Ronin, which we talked about a while back. But Natasha McElhorst, I don't know, probably mispronouncing that. Let me actually just bring up the cast list so we can find it. Let me see. Natasha McElhone, I think is how it's pronounced. I'm probably, again, mispronouncing that. But she plays one of the kind of love interests in the movie. There's actually two love interests. One is played by Laura Linney, and the other is played by Natasha McElhouse, or I'll probably just bring the name up again because I'm going to mispronounce it again. Natasha McElhone. Yeah, there we go. Hopefully. But there's two love interests. One is Truman's like wife in the show, who is basically an actress that is married to him, and Natasha plays an extra that is not meant to. That's basically just meant to be a background character, and Truman kind of ends up falling for her, and she eventually kind of reveals to him, he's like, hey, like, we're not supposed to be together because, like, this isn't in the script, basically, is what she says. So she ends up getting basically fired from the show for, like, breaking character, essentially, and there's a whole subplot where he's trying to, like, track her down on Fiji, because he wants to go to Fiji, because that's apparently where her character had moved to, even though like that character, like just a character, that character actually didn't go to Fiji. But let's see here. We talked about how it kind of predicted reality TV. It was filmed in Seaside, Florida, which is basically a what's called a master planned community. So it's kind of like a community that is built from like meticulously planned. So it's kind of looks like a very curated kind of like town essentially, and the town in the Truman Show is kind of like already set up in that way, and Truman is basically prevented from kind of leaving that community. Obviously, there's like when he tries to leave, things get in his way. He tries to drive out of the town with him. There's like a lot of stuff where they're like, oh, now there's a nuclear meltdown at a nuclear power plant. You can't leave. He's like basically like forced to kind of stay there. Let's see. So it's filmed in Florida, and it was originally planned for a 1997 release. However, that got pushed back until 1998. And now we're going to just basically discuss the plot of the film. So, like I said earlier, the concept of the film is that the Truman Show is a reality show all focused on Jim Carrey's character. Everybody in his life essentially is a character in the show. So his wife, his friends, his co-workers, whoever it might be, are all basically actors. Like, so like basically none of them, it's kind of like an interesting concept because he basically has grown up with these people, but probably he only knows the characters of them. He probably doesn't actually know who the actual people are. It's like a really interesting kind of concept. And throughout the movie, things are kind of falling into place where his reality is kind of being dismantled in front of him, essentially. Like in one of the earlier scenes of the movie, you see like a spotlight fall from the sky and just like lands on like the street, and he like looks at it, and then on a radio broadcast later, it said like, "Oh, a plane was flying over," and like some parts of it fell off, and that's what that was. Then later, like he goes to work, he talks to his wife, he talks to his best friend. It's very much like slice of life in that kind of way. It's very interesting. And then eventually, like at one point, he's just sitting on a beach and it rains, but the rain is only on him. It like kind of just rains down on him only, and then the rain actually functions correctly. Um, and like as this is going on, he's piecing together that something is not quite right here. Something is going on. Um, he remembers that he like why he like he's supposed to go on a boat at one point, like a ferry to like another part of like the area. And he gets on the boat, sees a sunken boat in the water, and has a flashback to when him and his dad were boating, and his dad basically drowned, and that was there to as a way to kind of just keep him from ever leaving. It was like they gave him whatever the fear of water is called, I think, or fear of drowning, or whatever it might be. That it was a way to kind of just keep him from ever leaving that town. And then in other parts of the movie, it showed that he's like, oh, I want to do this. I want to be an explorer. I want to go here. I want to go there. And basically, all these roadblocks are just put in his way whenever he gets the idea to potentially leave the town. Christoph, the person that's kind of directing the show, producing the show, is putting all of these things in his way to keep him from ever leaving, so they can just continue to have this show go on the air and what have you. At one point, he's driving down and he hears like he's messing with his car radio, and he actually hears the radio broadcast of basically like what the cast members would hear in their ears, be like, oh, Truman's driving down this street right now. He just took a turn on this road. And like, he hears that, and it's very, very weird for him. And then eventually, everybody is listening to that, and then they kind of know what he's doing and where he's going. At one point, he sees the lady that he was not supposed to talk to. He goes to talk to her, and he asks her to go out for like pizza or something like that. And she says, if we don't go out and do it now, we won't be able to do it at all, because like I'm not going to be in this spot like in a day from now. I'm scheduled to be in this particular area now, probably not at a future time. So they basically go to the beach, and she's trying to tell him the truth that that he's a prisoner in the show, and that it's all kind of like fake and all that. And then a car comes up. It's supposed to be her dad. Drives, takes her away, saying they're going to Fiji, saying that she has, I think it was like bipolar or something like that. And that basically, she gets fired from the show. But Truman eventually is like piecing these things together, and then eventually they do a thing where they do an interview, the movie takes place in the kind of like the show that Truman is in, and then you have scenes of people watching the show from like around the world. Like you see people at like a bar watching it. But then they have an interview with Christoph where he talks about the show. He has people calling in and asking him questions. And then eventually at one point, Truman basically like escapes. He like has like a tunnel in his house that he goes out of. And Christoph eventually they try to have the entire town like look for him, and he actually has to like Christoph has to basically like they're like, well, it's nighttime, we can't really find him that easily at night. So what happens is he then turns the sun on for that day, and they find out that Truman is actually now in a boat, getting over his fear of water. Christoph kind of summons a huge like windstorm and sea storm to try to prevent him from basically finding out the truth. And eventually Truman comes to where it's basically in a large dome, comes to the edge of his world, basically, like gets to the edge, sees a staircase, walks up the staircase, and then like talks to Christoph, basically turns, says his catchphrase, which is like, I'll see you, like, I forget exactly what the catchphrase was, but it's like good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever it is, something like that. And then just turns and walks off of into the real world, essentially, or the real world. It's a very interesting concept of the movie. I definitely had a lot of fun watching it, and I think it definitely showcases some of Jim Carrey's other acting skills that aren't comedy. So it's a very good movie. I for some reason had never gotten around to seeing it until now, but I was very familiar with kind of the plot and like what the movie is about and what happens. I think it's streaming on Paramount Plus now. So if if you have Paramount Plus, I would highly recommend it. It's a very good movie. Like I said, I think it definitely showcases some of Jim Carrey's other acting ability besides comedy. But that's going to do it for this video. We'll be back again in a few days. Probably be doing another video game or computer game of some kind. Again, that's going to do it for now. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.